There is a moment waiting for you, a specific point in time that has not yet arrived, but is as certain as the ground beneath your feet. It is the moment when the noise stops. When the plans you have made for next year, or next week, or even tomorrow, are suddenly rendered obsolete. We live as if we are immortal. We consume time as if it were a resource that replenishes itself, endlessly flowing from an infinite spring. But the vessel is finite, and the last drop is already in the cup. Let us look closely at a specific evening to understand how a disciplined mind meets the end of the world. The year is 65 AD. The place is a villa just outside of Rome. The man is an old teacher. He is wealthy, famous, and deeply misunderstood by the masses. He has spent a lifetime navigating the treacherous corridors of power, advising an emperor who has slowly descended into madness. But tonight, he is simply eating dinner. He is with his wife and two close friends. The evening is warm. The food is simple. There is conversation, perhaps the cracking of bread, the pouring of wine. It is a scene of ordinary life, the kind of scene you have lived 1,000 times, the kind of scene you assume will happen again and again. And then, there is a noise at the gate, heavy sandals on stone, the distinct metallic clatter of armor. A centurion enters. He does not need to shout. His presence alone sucks the air from the room. He brings a command from the emperor. The command is simple. The teacher must die, tonight, by his own hand. Observe the reaction in the room, for it is a mirror of the human condition. The friends are struck by terror. They are paralyzed by the sudden intrusion of reality upon their illusion of safety. The wife, overwhelmed by grief, begins to weep. The air fills with the sharp scent of panic. This is the natural reaction of the untrained mind. It screams against the inevitable. It views death as a theft, a violation, a mistake. But look at the teacher. Look at the face of the man who has spent decades cultivating the fortress of his own mind. He does not tremble. He does not drop his cup. He does not plead with the soldier, or bargain for another day, or rail against the injustice of the tyrant. He continues to breathe rhythmically, slowly. Why? Is he unfeeling? Is he made of stone? He is calm because he is not surprised. He has been rehearsing this moment every day for 40 years. He understands a fundamental truth that you often forget, that the decree of death was not signed by the emperor today. It was signed by nature on the day he was born. The soldier is merely the messenger. The timing is merely a detail. He looks at the centurion with a steady gaze. There is no hatred in his eyes, for he knows the soldier is a slave to duty, just as the emperor is a slave to paranoia. He asks simply for his tablets, to write his will. He wishes to leave some small material comfort to the friends who have remained loyal to him. The centurion refuses. The order is immediate. There is no time for legalities, no time for the distribution of wealth. This is the first test. The world strips him of his ability to give. It renders his gold, his estates, his possessions, utterly meaningless in a single second. Most men would break here. To have one's legacy erased, to be unable to care for one's own. It feels like a final defeat. But watch how the disciplined mind pivots. If the external path is blocked, the internal path remains open. He turns to his friends. He speaks not with the frantic energy of a dying man, but with the measured tone of a tutor finishing a lecture. He tells them that since he is forbidden to leave them money, he will leave them something far more valuable, something that no soldier can confiscate and no emperor can ban. He leaves them the pattern of his life. Consider the weight of that bequest, the pattern of a life. It is the only thing that was ever truly his choices, his judgments, his refusal to be enslaved by fear. He tells them that if they remember this pattern, if they study how he lived and how he is about to die, they will gain a reputation for virtue that is worth more than any estate. He looks at their tears. He does not indulge them. He does not join them in their sorrow. Instead, He asks a question that cuts through the emotion like a blade, where he asks, are your maxims of philosophy? Where is the reasoning you have studied for so many years? Where is the preparation against impending evils? He is reprimanding them, gently but firmly. He is holding up a mirror to their grief. He asks them, did you not know Nero was cruel? Did you expect that a man who killed his own mother and brother would spare his teacher? To be surprised by the nature of the world is a failure of perception. It is a failure to see things as they are. If you pet a wolf and it bites you, the error lies not with the wolf, but with your expectation. The teacher stands up. He embraces his wife. Here we see that Stoicism is not the absence of love. He holds her. He sees her pain, and it touches him, but it does not conquer him. He asks her to moderate her grief, not to suppress it entirely, for she is human, but to keep it within the bounds of reason, to find comfort in the fact that her husband lived a life of virtue. He knows that if he crumbles now, if he weeps and begs, he undoes the work of a lifetime. He proves that his philosophy was merely words, a costume worn for fair weather. The final act is not a tragedy, it is a demonstration. He prepares himself physically. The method of death is to be the opening of the veins, a slow, draining exit. It requires a profound stillness, to sit and watch the life leave the body, without panicking as the cold sets in. Imagine the physical sensation, the sharp bite of the steel, the sight of one's own blood, the very substance of vitality, flowing out onto the floor. The instinct of the animal is to recoil, to clutch the wound, to fight for one more heartbeat. But he is not just an animal. He is a rational being. He understands that the blood is indifferent. The body is indifferent. It is merely the casing for the soul, and the casing is breaking. The blood flows slowly. His old age and his frugal diet have left his body dry. Death does not come quickly. And here enters the agony. Pain, real, visceral, physical suffering. This is the crucible. It is easy to be a philosopher when you are healthy and sitting in a comfortable chair. It is easy to discuss the indifference of pain when you feel none. But now when the nerves are screaming, the weakness is overwhelming. And yet, he calls for a scribe. His mind in the ruling faculty is still operating. The body is dying, but the pilot is still at the wheel. He begins to dictate his final thoughts. He does not waste his last breath on curses. He does not waste it on regrets. He speaks of reason. He speaks of the nature of the soul. He continues his work right up to the final silence. This image of the old man bleeding out, yet still working, still thinking, is the ultimate definition of freedom. The emperor controls the army. The emperor controls the laws. The emperor controls the teacher's body. But the emperor cannot stop the teacher from thinking. He cannot stop him from being himself, even in the extremity of death. You must understand, this is not history. This is a diagnosis of your own life. You likely will not be ordered to die by a tyrant. You will not be surrounded by centurions, but you are surrounded by smaller tyrants every day. The anxiety of your job, the fear of losing money, the desperate need for approval, the terrifying fragility of your health. These are your centurions. They knock on your door. They demand your attention. They threaten your peace. And how do you react? Do you weep? Do you panic? Do you ask, why is this happening to me? Or do you stand steady? Do you remember that you have prepared for this? Do you remember that nothing outside of your own will can truly hurt you? The teacher in the villa shows us that we do not control when the end comes, or how it comes. We only control the condition of the mind that meets it. The evening drags on. The death is difficult. The suffering is prolonged. It would be easy to despair, to say that the gods have abandoned him, to say that a life of virtue should be rewarded with a painless exit. But the universe owes you nothing. It does not bargain. The teacher knows this. He accepts the slow pace of his departure just as he accepted the order itself. He is moved to a warm bath, to speed the flow of blood, to ease the stiffness of the limbs. The steam rises, the water turns red, and even then, as the darkness closes in, he sprinkles some of the water on the floor, a libation, an offering. He treats this grim setting as a temple. He sanctifies the moment. He does not die as a victim. He dies as a priest of his own existence. He suffocates in the steam, and the light goes out. The body is a corpse. The story is over. But the pattern remains. What can we take from this night? What can you, sitting there in the safety of your life, learn from the man who opened his veins? It is the lesson of separation. You are tangled in the world. You believe that you are your body. You believe that you are your bank account, your reputation, your relationships. So when these things are threatened, you feel that you are being destroyed. The teacher understood that he was none of these things. He was the observer. He was the will. He was the spark of reason that chooses how to judge the event. The body was just a thing he wore. The money was just a tool he used. The reputation was just an echo. When the order came to give them up, he simply opened his hands. He did not cling. Suffering is the result of clinging to what must be let go. Look at your own hands right now. What are you clutching? What outcome are you terrified to lose? What future are you desperately trying to control? Imagine, just for a moment, that the centurion is at your door, that the game is up. If you had to leave it all tonight, would you be dragged away screaming, or would you be able to say, I knew this was borrowed. I return it without complaint. This is the discipline of perception. To see the end not as a disaster, but as the completion of a cycle. The sun sets, the leaf falls, the fire burns down to ash, the man dies. This is not tragic. This is the rhythm of the universe. To fight it is madness. To accept it is peace. But there is more to the lesson than just acceptance of death. There is the matter of consistency. Many of us claim to be wise when life is easy. We are patient when no one is annoying us. We are courageous when there is no danger. We are temperate when we are not tempted. But the teacher tells his friends, I leave you the pattern of my life. The pattern is not proved in the library. It is proved in the bathhouse, amidst the steam and the blood. Your philosophy is not what you know. It is what you do when the storm hits. If you crumble at a rude email, if you fall into a rage because of traffic, if you lie awake at night terrified of a possibility that has not yet occurred, then you have not yet learned the lesson of that night in Rome. You are still believing that the external world dictates your internal state. You are still a slave to the centurion. We must go deeper into the mind of the sage during those final hours. We must understand how he managed the fear. Because the biological fear was there. Make no mistake, the heart races, the adrenaline spikes, the body wants to live. Courage is not the absence of this feeling. Courage is the judgment that there is something more important than the feeling. The teacher judged that his dignity, his integrity, his loyalty to the logos, the rational order of things, was more valuable than a few more years of breathing. He weighed the quantity of life against the quality of life, and he chose quality. Most of us choose quantity. We will trade our dignity for safety. We will trade our peace of mind for comfort. We will say anything, do anything, to avoid the inevitable. And in doing so, we die 1,000 small deaths. We die every time we compromise our principles out of fear. We die every time we let anxiety steal the present moment. The teacher died only once, and he made it count. He showed us that the mind is a citadel. The walls may be breached, the outer buildings may be burned, but the inner sanctum, the seat of the will, can remain inviolate until the very last second. It is a heavy realization. It places the responsibility squarely on your shoulders. You cannot blame your circumstances for your unhappiness. You cannot blame your parents, or your boss, or the economy. Seneca could not blame Nero. Blame is irrelevant. The only relevant question is, how will I meet this? Will you meet it with the chaotic tears of the friends, or with the steady hand of the teacher? The choice happens in the blink of an eye, between the event and your reaction. In that tiny space lies your freedom. The script continues. We must examine the specific tools the mind uses to achieve this stillness. We must move from the historical example to the practical application in your daily existence. Because you are not dying tonight, you have the luxury of time, which means you have the luxury of training. You can begin to rehearse, you can begin to let go, slowly, of the things you think you own. You can practice the art of dying, so that you may finally begin the art of living. Let us consider the nature of unfinished business. One of the great sources of anxiety for the friends in that room, and for you, is the feeling that the work is not done, that there is more to say, more to build. I am not ready, you say. The teacher was ready. Why? Because he lived each day as if it were the final stroke on the canvas. If you are painting a picture and you are constantly waiting for the future to finish it, the painting is always incomplete. But if you treat each day as a complete unit of life, if you balance the books every night, then death cannot interrupt you. It can only end you. And there is a vast difference between being interrupted and being ended. To be interrupted implies you were owed more time. To be ended implies you used the time you had. The teacher did not leave tasks undone. He did not have words left unsaid to his wife. He did not have amends to make. His accounts were closed. This is why he could calmly dictate his thoughts on the soul while bleeding. He wasn't scrambling to fix his past. He was fully inhabiting his present. Ask yourself, if the knock came at your door right now, what is left undone? Who have you not forgiven? What truth have you not spoken? What virtue have you postponed practicing until things settle down? Things will never settle down. The chaos is the default state of the world. Order is the state of the mind. If you are waiting for the world to be quiet before you find peace, you will wait forever. Peace must be forged in the middle of the noise. Just as the teacher forged his calm in the middle of the execution, he did not ask the soldiers to be quiet. He quieted himself. This is the power you possess. It is dormant, perhaps, buried under layers of distraction and desire, but it is there. It is the heritage of your reason. It is the spark of the divine within you. You need only to blow on the embers, to feed the fire with discipline, to protect it from the winds of passion. In the next moments, we will walk through how to build this fortress, how to take the dramatic lesson of the last night and apply it to the mundane struggles of a Tuesday morning. For if you can die with dignity, you can surely live with it. The battle is not fought with swords today. It is fought with notifications, with deadlines, with the silent, suffocating pressure of expectation. You do not face a centurion who demands your life. You face a world that demands your attention, your energy, and your peace of mind. And it demands them constantly. The stakes seem lower, but the mechanism of defeat is exactly the same. When you lose your temper because a device fails to work, when you lie awake in a cold sweat because of a mistake at work, when you feel the burn of envy scrolling through the lives of others, you are suffering the same failure of reason as the friends who wept in the villa. You are mistaking the external world for the internal self. You are allowing things outside your control to breach the walls of your mind. Let us dismantle this process. Let us slow down the film of your daily life so you can see the frames. Something happens. This is the raw data, the event. A glass breaks, a voice is raised. A car cuts in front of you. A rejection letter arrives. This is the impression. It strikes the senses. It is neutral. It has no moral weight. It is simply matter in motion. But then, in the fraction of a second that follows, you add something to the impression. You add a judgment. You say this is bad. You say this is an insult. You say this is a disaster. That judgment is the injury. The glass breaking is just physics. The anger you feel is a choice. The teacher in the villa did not judge the arrival of the soldier as evil. He judged it as inevitable. And because he judged it as inevitable, he did not suffer the agony of resistance. You, however, are constantly resisting. You are arguing with reality. You are screaming at the rain for being wet. You are furious at the traffic for being slow. Do you not see the madness in this? The traffic does not know you are there. It does not care about your schedule. It acts according to its own nature. To be angry at it is to be like a child kicking a stone because he stubbed his toe. The stone is indifferent. Only the toe hurts, and only the child looks foolish. So how do we apply the lesson of the final night to the morning commute? We build the inner citadel. Imagine your mind as a fortress. Inside the keep sits the ruling faculty, your reason, your will. Outside the walls is everything else. Your body, your property, your reputation, the opinions of others, the weather, the economy. The fortress has a gatekeeper. His name is logic. When an impression approaches the gate, when the insult flies through the air, when the bad news arrives, the gatekeeper must stop it. He must demand to see its papers. He asks, "What are you?" The impression says, "I am a catastrophic failure." And the gatekeeper replies, "No, you are simply an event. You are a project that did not yield the desired result. The catastrophe is an adjective I am not required to accept." This is the discipline of assent, refusing to agree with the first impulse that rises up. The first impulse is biological. It is the animal flinching. You cannot control the initial spike of fear or anger. That is the body doing its job. But you can control the second movement. You can refuse to hand over the keys to the fortress. You can say to the emotion, "You are just a feeling. You are not the truth." Consider the insult. Someone speaks words intended to hurt you. They want to wound your pride. If you accept their words, if you agree that you have been harmed, then you are harmed. You have become their accomplice in your own suffering. But if you strip the words of your judgment, they become merely sounds, vibrations in the air, no different than the barking of a dog. Would you be offended if a dog barked at you? Would you feel your self-worth crumble? No. Because you understand the nature of the dog. It barks because it is a dog. People are the same. They act according to their nature. The ignorant act ignorantly. The angry act angrily. The jealous act jealously. Why are you surprised? Why do you take it personally? To expect the world to be anything other than what it is a form of arrogance. It is demanding that the universe rearrange itself to suit your preferences. It will not. The discipline of the sage is to align his will with the nature of the world, to want exactly what is happening. This sounds like passivity. It sounds like weakness. Must I just accept injustice? Must I just accept failure? Stoicism is not resignation. It is active acceptance of the present moment so that you can act effectively in the next moment. If you are busy screaming at the glass for breaking, you are not sweeping it up. If you are busy raging at the traffic, you are not using the time to think or to listen or to simply breathe. The energy you waste on emotion is energy stolen from action. The teacher did not waste energy crying over the emperor's order. He used all his remaining energy to teach, to comfort, and to die well. He was efficient. You must become efficient. You have a limited supply of mental fuel. Do not burn it on friction. Let us practice this now. Bring to mind a source of anxiety in your life, a recurring problem, a person who drains you. Visualize it clearly. Now ask the question, what part of this is up to me? If it is a person, their behavior is not up to you. Their thoughts are not up to you. Stop trying to control them. It is like trying to hold back the tide with a spoon. What is up to you? Your response, your boundary, your virtue. Focus entirely on that. Let the rest fall away. This is the art of subtraction. We often think that wisdom is about adding things, adding more knowledge, more strategies, more habits. But true wisdom is about subtraction, subtracting the unnecessary desires, subtracting the false judgments, subtracting the fear of the future. When you chip away the marble that doesn't belong, the statue is revealed, the statue of the self, calm, sturdy, and sufficient. But the marble is hard, and the chipping is work. It requires a concept the ancients called Premeditatio Malorum, the premeditation of evils. This is a tool often misunderstood. People think it is morbid to think about what could go wrong. They say, think positive thoughts. Manifest success. The Stoic knows that hope is a beggar. Hope relies on fortune. Hope implies that you need things to go a certain way in order to be okay. Instead of hoping, prepare. In the morning, before you step out into the chaos, rehearse the difficulties. Tell yourself, today I will meet a busybody. I will meet an ungrateful man. I will meet a liar. I will meet someone envious. I will likely face a delay. I may lose something I value. Visualize it, feel the sting of it, and then, in the safety of your morning meditation, resolve to meet it with reason. See yourself responding with patience to the busybody. See yourself responding with indifference to the delay. You are putting on your armor before you step onto the battlefield. If you go out naked, expecting a paradise, you will be cut to pieces. If you go out armored, expecting a struggle, nothing can surprise you. And if the day happens to be easy, then you are pleasantly surprised. You have lost nothing. But if the storm comes, you are the only one standing dry. This practice neutralizes the weapon of surprise. The teacher in the villa was not surprised by the centurion. He had visualized his death 1,000 times. So when it arrived, it was like meeting an old acquaintance. Ah, he thinks, here you are. I have been expecting you. Can you look at your fears this way? Can you look at the prospect of losing your job or your health and say, I have walked this path in my mind. I know the terrain. I will not panic. This is how you convert fear into prudence. Fear paralyzes, prudence prepares. We must also speak of time, the medium in which we float. You suffer because you live in two places that do not exist, the past and the future. The past is a corpse. It cannot be revived. Regret is the act of trying to change what is frozen in stone. It is a waste of the ruling faculty. The future is a ghost. It has not arrived. Anxiety is the act of suffering a disaster that may never happen. Seneca said, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. The mind spins elaborate horror stories about what might occur next week. You visualize the failure. You hear the criticism. You feel the shame. Your body reacts as if it is happening now. Your heart pounds, your stomach turns. But look around you. Look at the room you are in. Is there a tiger in the corner? Is there a sword at your throat? No, there is only this moment, and this moment is usually bearable. The weight of the present is light. Anyone can carry the burden of a single second. It is when you try to carry the burden of the next 10 years, all at once, that your knees buckle. Cut the timeline. Isolate the present. Can you bear this specific second? Yes. Can you bear the next one? Yes. Then you can bear anything. Life is just a sequence of nows. The sage lives in the thin slice of reality called right now. He does not look back to see the wake of the ship. He does not look forward to the horizon with terror. He holds the tiller. He adjusts the sail for the wind that is blowing now. This is the secret of his endurance. When the pain of the dying body became intense, the teacher did not project it forward. He did not say, how will I endure this for another hour? He said, I am enduring this now. He refused to multiply his suffering by the variable of time. You must learn to do the same. When you are in the middle of a difficult task, do not look at the mountain left to climb. Look at the step. When you are in a difficult conversation, do not worry about the outcome. Focus on the next true word you need to speak. This brings us to the most critical distinction of all, the distinction between action and outcome. The archer controls the bow. He controls the tension of the string. He controls the aim. He controls the moment of release. But once the arrow leaves the string, he no longer controls it. A sudden gust of wind may blow it off course. The target may move. If the archer ties his self-worth to hitting the bullseye, he is a slave to the wind. He will be anxious before the shot and crushed if he misses. But if he places his value in the process, in the excellence of his form, in the focus of his mind, then he is free. If he hits the target, good. If he misses, he knows he did everything within his power. His virtue is intact. You are the archer. Your projects, your relationships, your career, these are the arrows. You can aim with all your skill, you can work with all your heart, but the result belongs to fortune. Do not confuse your intention with the result. Do not confuse your effort with the reward. The world owes you no reward. The reward of a virtuous act is the act itself. The reward of being disciplined is the tranquility of a disciplined mind. If you are looking for applause, if you are looking for the external validation of your efforts, you have left the fortress. You are begging at the gates of the world. And the world is a cruel master. It will give you crumbs one day and starve you the next. Come back inside. Come back to the place where you determine your own worth. We are building a picture of a life that is invincible, not because it conquers the world, but because it conquers the need for the world to be a certain way. It is a state of being where you are fluid, like water. If the rock blocks the path, the water flows around it. It does not get angry at the rock. It does not stop. It simply changes course and continues its journey downward, obeying gravity, obeying nature. You must find your gravity, your logos. In the final section of our meditation, we will look at the ultimate liberation, the realization that you are part of a whole, that your individual suffering is a tiny note in a vast symphony, and that by accepting your role, whatever it may be, you find the only freedom that matters, the freedom of the mind that knows itself. You are small. This is not an insult. It is a geographical and chronological fact. Stand on the surface of the earth and look up. The stars you see are burning spheres of gas, unimaginable distances away. They have burned for billions of years before your lungs took their first breath. They will burn for billions of years after your bones have turned to dust. Against this backdrop, what is your trouble? What is the size of your disaster? What is the significance of the rude comment? What is the weight of your embarrassment? It is nothing. It is a flicker of a shadow on a grain of sand. The ego hates this. The ego wants to be the protagonist. It wants the universe to be a story about you. But the Stoic finds comfort in insignificance. If you are small, then your problems are small. If your life is a brief flash, then your suffering is also brief. This is the view from above. It is the practice of zooming out until the noise of daily life becomes silence. Imagine looking down at the earth from a great height. You see armies clashing, and they look like ants fighting over a crumb. You see borders, and they are invisible lines drawn on dirt. You see traders frantically exchanging gold, and it looks like children swapping pebbles. From this height, the tragic becomes the trivial. The urgent becomes the irrelevant. Why do you torment yourself over things that vanish so quickly? Why do you trade your peace for a little more gold or a little more fame when none of it can be kept? Alexander the Great conquered the known world. He owned it all. His mule driver owned nothing. Both are now dead. Both are now dust. The earth does not distinguish between the king and the slave when it swallows them. This realization is the ultimate solvent for anxiety. It dissolves the glue of attachment. If nothing lasts, then nothing is worth losing your mind over. But you might ask, if nothing matters, why do anything? Why not just lie down and wait for the end? This is the precipice of nihilism. And this is where Stoicism turns away from the darkness. Because while the outcome may not matter to the universe, your conduct matters to you. You have a role to play. Nature has placed you here, in this time, in this body, with these specific people. Just as an actor is cast in a play, the actor does not choose the role. He may be cast as a king or a beggar. He may be cast as a hero or a villain. He may have many lines, or he may die in the first act. These things are not up to him. His only job, his only duty, is to play the role well, to speak the lines clearly, to move with purpose, to exit the stage with dignity when the cue is given. If the actor playing the beggar complains on stage, "Why am I not the king?" he ruins the play. He is a bad actor. You are complaining about your role. You want a different script? You want a longer scene? Stop it. Look at the script you have been given. Look at the life that is actually in front of you. Is it difficult? Then play the role of a person enduring difficulty with grace. Is it painful? Then play the role of a person mastering pain. Is it lonely? Then play the role of a person finding solitude within themselves. This is your task, to take the raw material of your fate, whatever it is, and sculpt it into virtue. The teacher in the villa was given the role of the dying sage. It was a hard role, a bloody role, but he played it to perfection. And in doing so, he turned a gruesome execution into a work of art. You can do the same with your struggles, your divorce, your bankruptcy, your illness. These are not just misfortunes, they are opportunities. They are the stage on which you demonstrate your philosophy. If everything went your way, no one would know what you were made of, not even you. The fire proves the gold. Misfortune proves the man. So, how do we integrate this? How do we walk out of this meditation and back into the noise? We carry 3 weapons, mental principles: short, sharp, ready to hand. First, the dichotomy of control. Constantly separate the world. Is this my will or is this external? If it is external, say this is nothing to me. Not that you don't care, but that it does not control your happiness. Hold this blade always. Cut every worry in half with it. Second, the objective view. Strip things of their stories. Money is just metal. Fame is just clapping. Insults are just noise. Death is just nature. Do not let your mind paint colorful nightmares over gray facts. See things as they are. Bare, simple, manageable. Third, amor fati, the love of fate. Do not just tolerate what happens. Do not just resign yourself to it. Welcome it. When the obstacle appears, say, good, this is what I need. This is the fuel for my fire. If the car breaks down, good, a chance to practice patience. If the project fails, good, a chance to learn humility. If the pain comes, good, a chance to test my endurance. The fire does not care what you throw into it. It consumes everything. It turns the rotten wood and the fine furniture and the garbage into flame. It turns the obstacle into light. Be the fire. You are coming to the end of this listening. The silence will return. The world will rush back in. Do not lose what you have found here. It is slippery. It requires a grip of iron. You will fail. Make no mistake. You will lose your temper. You will feel the pang of anxiety. You will desire things you cannot have. You are human. The sage is an ideal, a north star to steer by, not a destination you will permanently reach. But when you fall, do not despise yourself. Do not waste time in guilt. Guilt is just another form of ego, dwelling on the past. Simply get up, reset the mind, return to the logos. The wrestler who falls in the ring does not quit. He wipes the dust from his shoulders and faces his opponent again. Your opponent is life. It is waiting for you. But now, you know its moves. You know that its power lies only in your permission. You know that it cannot touch the fortress if you lock the gate. There is a deep calm available to you, not the calm of sleep, but the calm of a mountain. The storm rages around the peak. The wind howls or the snow blinds, but the rock does not move. It does not ask the storm to stop. It simply is. Be the rock. Hold only what belongs to you, your judgment, your will, your character. Release what never did, the outcome, the opinion, the future. The weight you have been carrying is not the weight of the world. It is the weight of your attachment to the world. Let it drop. Breathe. The centurion may be at the gate one day, but he is not here now. Now, you are free,